Hello, AP Environmental Science students. In today's screencast, we're going to continue with Chapter 6, which is the human population and its impact. All of today's PowerPoint slides are based off of Living in the Environment, the 16th edition by Miller and Spoolman. Chapter 6.2 discusses the factors that influence the size of the human population. The two main ideas covered in this section are that population increases because of births and immigration and decreases through deaths and emigration, and that the average number of children born to a woman in a particular population, or its total fertility rate, is the key factor that determines population size. So our population can grow, decline, or remain stable. And we can determine population change through births, which is also known as fertility, deaths, which is also known as mortality, and migration. So when we talk about migration, we're talking about immigration and emigration. Immigration is moving into an area. Note that immigration and in both start with I's, and emigration is exiting an area. Emigration and exit both start with E's. So if we looked at our population change, it follows this equation. Births plus immigration minus deaths plus emigration gives us our population change. Population experts, called demographers, usually use crude birth rate and crude death rate in replace of total births and deaths. Crude birth rate, or birth rate, is the number of live births per 1,000 people in a population in a given year. Death rate, or crude death rate, is the number of deaths per 1,000 people in a population in a given year. On our planet, women are having fewer babies, but not few enough to stabilize our population. So when we talk about births, we talk about fertility rate. And fertility rate is the total number of children born to a woman during her lifetime. Two types of fertility rates affect a country's population size and growth rate. So the first one is replacement level fertility rate. This is the average number of children that couples in a population must bear to replace themselves. So the global replacement fertility rate is slightly higher than 2. If you look at each individual countries, it's 2.1 in most developed countries and 2.5 in a lot of developing countries. And this is because some children die before reaching their reproductive years. So couples need to have over an average of 2 in order to make up for those children who have passed. The other type of fertility rate that affects population size and growth rate is total fertility rate. And that's the average number of children born to a woman in a population during her reproductive years. And this plays a key role in determining population size. There are 10 major factors that affect total fertility rates. The first is importance of children in the labor force. If you need a lot of children to help you take care of your house, your farm, do your daily life, then you're going to have more children to help you do that. If it doesn't take a lot of help for you to complete your daily tasks, then you're going to have less children. Also, the cost of raising and educating children is a factor. It's lower in developing countries where cost is, in developed countries where cost is higher. In the U.S., right now it costs about $290,000 to raise a middle-class child from ages birth to 18. Because it costs so much, people in developed countries are more likely to have fewer children than those in developing countries. The availability of private and public pension systems is also another factor that affects total fertility rates. Pensions reduce a couple's need to have many children to help support them in old age. So if they have a good pension system, they can pay for care. They can live in a nursing home. They don't have to rely on their children so much to do that for them. Urbanization is another factor. People living in urban areas have better access to family planning services and generally have fewer children. Education and employment opportunities for women is also a factor that affects TFR, and it's lower when women are educated and have opportunities for employment outside the home. Higher educated women tend to marry later in life and then have fewer children because they're out doing other things. They're not just staying at home and popping out babies. Infant mortality rate. If remember, infant mortality rate is the number of children per 1,000 live births who die before 1 year of age. So in areas with low IMR, people will have fewer children because they're not worried that they're going to die at a young age. Average age at marriage. Women normally have fewer children when their average age at marriage is 25 years or older. Basically, if they're getting married later, they're shortening their reproductive window, so there's not as large of an opportunity to have as many kids. Number 8 is the availability of legal abortion. Number 9, the availability of birth control methods. Birth control allows women to control the number of and spacing between the children that they have. And then 10 is religious beliefs, traditions, and cultural norms. In some countries, these factors favor large families because they strongly oppose abortion and some forms of birth control. So there are 2 major factors that indicate the overall health of a country. First is life expectancy. Life expectancy is just the average number of years a newborn can expect to live. And then infant mortality rate, which we've already talked about. Infant mortality rate is our best measure of a society's quality because it indicates levels of undernutrition, malnutrition, and disease. In 1955, the average global life expectancy was 48. In 2004, it was 70. So people are living longer for many reasons. First, increased food supply and distribution. We have better nutrition. We have a lot of medical advances and improved sanitation. The infant mortality rate in 1900 was 165 per every 1,000 births. So that means 165 babies in every 1,000 births would not make it to their first birthday. And in 2008, it was 6.6 babies out of every 1,000. So that's actually still considered high, the 6.6, and this is due to inadequate health care for the poor, drug addictions among pregnant women, and high birth rate among teenagers. Migration is the last major factor that affects population size, and people migrate to seek economic improvement. So this happens a lot. Whether it's somebody's got a new job in a different state, you're migrating from one place to another. It might be that your profession is needed elsewhere, so you move somewhere else. And again, you're getting paid more at this new location. People also migrate to escape religious persecution, war, or political oppression, and also to escape environmental degradation and poor living conditions.